Raptors fans, welcome into Raptors Today. Akil Augustine not joined by the usual suspects. We got Ward in the house, and you might know him from Raptors Tonight, last night.
NBA 360.
NBA 360. Producer on Open Gym. We got Randy Urban in the house. How you doing, buddy?
Well, how are you?
Whoa, you gave me the old shake, eh?
Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
This
likewise.
is a very formal discussion.
Okay, I somehow doubt that. 132 to 131, the final score because it happened in Indiana, I'll call it a barn burner for the Toronto Raptors. Defense optional when you play the Pacers, but let's jump into it. First and foremost, your impressions of what you saw from the Toronto Raptors, knowing that, they were kind of disappointing in Orlando and they bounced back big time, Randy.
I just think it's funny when, you have these defensive principles, but then you get into a basketball game with a team that likes to run up and down, and then you're like, yeah, that's what we like to do too. Like, we know what those games are like, right? Like, they're the most fun. That's what basketball, that's how you fell in love with the sport, was playing that way.
Was playing offense.
Very
few people fell in love playing defense.
Yeah, nobody locks you down in the park.
Definitely.
Just Patrick Beverly.
Does he, though? I just think that the bounce back was really good. The way they played in Orlando to the way they played in Indiana was like two different teams in terms of their energy. Obviously, they didn't stop anyone, but neither did the Pacers. But like, just the passion, the spirit that they had in Indiana was so much different.
But how troubling is that, knowing that the energy was there, because going up against Indiana, they're not going to be locking you down. And then the identity of Orlando, surprisingly enough, is we're coming here to engage.
I don't know if you played and you thought, okay, I got another game the next night, so maybe I'm not that amped, or it's in the back of your mind. Like, does that happen? I don't know, because that's what I kind of felt like was going on.
I felt like the Raptors played down to the level of the competition against Orlando, and I think they played up to the Pacers after the second quarter. Indiana scored 22 points in 6 minutes. So I thought the first quarter was going to be 42-something, you know what I mean, in favor of Indiana. But then in that Orlando game, you give up, 120-plus points to a team that's ranked 24th in scoring in the league. So the Raptors' energy just wasn't there, right, in Orlando. And then they go to Indiana, and after that first 6 minutes, once the game started to, calm down a little bit, and not in terms of pace, because it was up and down. What I mean is, the Raptors kind of dictated and controlled the rest of the game. I felt as though the Raptors had the upper hand, and they played as though they did.
Well, you just got to hang around on the road, and they hung around the entire game.
Yeah.
Big night for Pascal Siakam. What does this guy got to do to get the game chained? Because obviously it went to Malachi, who contributed. You think about it, in the limited minutes that he had, it was a big night for him, knowing he's kind of been trying to find his identity with this group. But I want to get to that last play not the last play, but the 30-second mark. It comes down to you're down one, inbound. A play we've seen Jonas Valanciunas back in 2018 run. Scotty Barnes, instead of going to Pascal, who was the guy, big call, Warren. Your impressions of the X's and O's of Darko?
The last 4 minutes of the game, after every timeout, the Raptors ran a play and they scored. So as much as we will bash coaches, I think we have to give him the applause for execution.
I don't
down the
bash
stretch.
coaches.
Well, I do. So
I'm a coach. Sometimes I look down the bench. I'm like, I forgot you were on the team.
I'm going to talk to some parents tonight.
Yeah, media in general, sometimes we're overly critical of coaches, but I think he did a great job of managing the clock, managing the game. His timeouts were excellent, and that was a great play call. Pascal had it going, so what do? You fake a handoff, you give the ball to your second best player, who's had a decent, not a phenomenal night, but a good night.
20 points, but it wasn't what we've seen of recent.
Exactly.
This reminds me of a gripe that I have about media in general, and I'm in the media as well, so I gripe myself here, but I just don't understand. I don't know when this happened, but I think it was maybe 6-7 years ago, where media people like myself, I try to not do this.
It's okay.
But they would say, hey, what were you thinking at the 4.5-minute mark of the second quarter when you had X, Y, and Z out there, and that you haven't ever matched them up with, A, B, and C? Like, the coach
nitpicking the rotation.
What? Like,
Did we do that?
Yeah, and there's, as a coach, there's a million things going on in your brain, and you're trying things. So I don't know. And the second guessing of those types of decisions just drives me nuts. Because there's so many factors that go into. Hey, maybe a coach notices, hey, this guy's not going that well, or he's going better, and he's got a great chemistry with this guy. We saw it in practice. There's so many things that go into these decisions that, like, do you really have to
second guess and question
everything? You know, what I
agree.
What I liked about what Nick Nurse did in his years with the Raptors was, and Darko does this too. He's like, I'm going to have to go back and look at the film.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, you don't know everything at that moment. Like, I just.
And as a coach, like, I don't have to justify anything to you.
Right.
Well, they may feel different.
I agree.
Anyway, this started like 7 years ago, and now it's like a thing. Like every game, right? What were you thinking at this moment, this time, when you put in this guy with that guy, when the ball was, this sweaty? Like, it's just like.
All right, well, something we do got to talk about is Gary Trent's free throw shooting, because a huge opportunity was missed to put the game out. Well, not out of reach, but at least.
Scotty missed a free throw too.
Scotty missed a free throw through. What's the story with the Raptors free throw shooting? 28th in the league, and Gary's percentage has completely dropped.
Looking over here like,
you had the free throw problems. I was 84%.
I got to double check these numbers.
I honestly, it is mental. It is mental. I think basketball players, all of us go to the free throw line pretending like we're not sweating and nervous, and it's like, I don't know why we do that, but we do, and I don't care who you are. If the game's on the line and it's a free throw that must be made, you are thinking about that, and you're feeling it. So I'll just say it's mental. I don't know what.
It's got to get corrected for this group moving forward.
I agree.
They're leaving points on the floor.
I agree, but that's a hard thing to control.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
I mean, I get nervous watching them step to the line.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly.
Too, and then I put myself in that situation. I'm like, oh, but then you understand that they're also shooting, 100 of those a day.
Yes.
You should be able to step to the line,
if not
most times, and make them automatically. But man, your nerves get in there. You've all played basketball. When your nerves are there, you're a completely different player.
Yes, you are.
You're a different human.
You can't simulate a game either.
Yeah.
So you can shoot 100 in practice, and then you go to the free throw line. There's 25,000 people screaming whatever at you, and you need to focus and block all that out and focus in the game. It's hard.
Unfortunately for the Raptors, though. League-wide, the numbers don't speak well to them shooting free throws, and that's something they're going to have to rectify as they move forward. And the man responsible for rectifying that, of course, not only the players, but the head coach. Darko spoke at the end of the game.
All right, Coach, before the game, I asked you how do you balance the offense and match the defense as well. What did you see out there tonight? Because it was a tight one.
It was like we expected. We exactly knew what they're gonna do tonight. We were able to stand with it. We did not flinch at any point of time. We knew they're gonna be a team that's gonna really try to run and score a lot. I thought that especially the first half, they did a really good job in transition. They had only 5 points in transition in the first half. For the whole game, we just continue preaching that, like slowing those guys down and making them half-court team. Obviously, they're so talented and they have a lot of shooting weapons, so they were able to score 18 threes in the game. But I felt that all of those shots were hardly 4 shots. They really had to work for everything.